She was more than a nanny for 9 years. Prince George's royal upbringing was stable thanks to her. Maria Theresa Turrion-Barallo, the future king's childhood caregiver, withdrew from palace life instantly. No goodbye, no explanation, just an abrupt end to years of service. What followed? Whispers become news. Some subtle move caused a royal storm. Her leave wasn't the end, so tension builds behind the palace walls. Just the start. You should watch what you say now that these men are filming. I know. I suppose if people think you're doing the correct thing, you can just be yourself and ignore. Behind the prince, It started softly in March 2014. Prince George was 8 months old when Prince William and Catherine prepared for a royal tour of Australia and New Zealand. In the background, they were making a decision that would quietly but dramatically affect their firstborn's early years. Maria Theresa Turrion-Barallo made that decision. Maria was no ordinary nanny. Born in Spain and educated at Bath's Norland College. Norland College is known for developing talented childcare workers who learn child psychology and self-defense. Maria had extensive training, a calm attitude, and could immediately adapt to palace life. She donned the Norland uniform, brown dress, white gloves, and matching cap, silently melted into the background. From the outside, she looked like a skilled caregiver. Within the palace walls, she became much more important. Qualification didn't determine Maria's selection. She was picked because she knew the royal family's top demand, confidentiality. Maria became a mystery in a world where every family move makes headlines. Present. She never interviewed. She never did talk shows. She only appeared in royal events when necessary. Maria entered the nursery discreetly before dawn, according to a former palace employee. She checked everything, from the room temperature to the ironed clothes for the day. She set up bottles and toys, opened the curtains for soft light, and created a peaceful atmosphere. She was a consistent, warm, reliable presence for Prince George in a world of flashing cameras, security, and royal rituals. Only little toddlers can respond to Maria like George. He laughed at her Spanish lullabies. He looked for her when he was sleepy and pronounced his first word, Baba, in his playpen. Maria heard it first. There was no shouting or calling in. She smiled softly, leaned in, and whispered, I heard you, as if it were a secret. The moment was brief but strong. The unbreakable tie between a child and the lady who shaped his first memories was in that whisper. That was just the beginning. Maria's position developed as Prince George grew from a curious toddler to a young child. Her role changed from nanny to emotional anchor. Stable and faithful. What secret link did Maria form that changed Prince George's heart? Follow us to learn. The secret world Maria made for George. The royal nanny position isn't simply a job. Life in the shadows of crown and ceremony. It's not about bedtime stories or timetable perfection. Stepping inside a world most people will never experience and making it normal for the child at the center is key. Maria Theresa Turrion-Barallo did that when she entered Kensington Palace in 2014. In addition to her CV, Maria was picked. She was chosen for her presence. She was a quiet, perceptive presence that guided Prince George's young life. She brought more than order from the start. She offered soothing steadiness to a chaotic life. Everything Maria handled had a subtle charm. Breakfast was an instant. It arrived every morning at the same time. Books were placed how George liked. The clothes were folded to his small but specific liking. These seemingly minor touches grounded the young prince. A child who felt the world more thoroughly valued these experiences. They stopped him, made him smile, and sometimes whispered, wow, when things were right. Maria quickly understood George wanted predictability. She said, he likes knowing what comes next, while conversing with a coworker. That fundamental truth guided her. But her care went beyond routine. It had a calm magic. Official images of Prince George's second birthday in July 2015 showed a joyful child beaming. Nobody noticed Maria out of sight. To make him laugh, wave a plush animal and speak ridiculous Spanish phrases. Because she understood his life better than most, she knew how to make him laugh, not for the cameras. She obeyed palace protocol. No gossip, attention, or mistakes. Within the nursery walls, she generated warmth. Though she wasn't a mother, she became irreplaceable. The calm hand George looked to when he couldn't express his feelings. George strode into the nursery and crossed his arms one morning after a difficult start. Maria kneeled beside him and asked lightly, "Are you weary or frustrated?" He asked, frosted, with watering eyes. She smiled gently. One moment gave him a powerful sensation name. It went beyond comfort. There was growth. Maria also showed George her culture. Her Spanish lessons included thanks and buenos dias. Before dawn, he would creep into her chamber and whisper, "Wendy's, Maria," beaming with delight at recalling her lullabies and gentle corrections. They went beyond words. They developed a trust language. Maria was more than a caretaker by July 2018, when Prince George turned 5. He was safe with her. She waited silently with baked cupcakes and a small wrapped present that evening after the huge party with guests, cameras, and royal procedures. "Did you make them?" George asks. "Always," she said. In a world of duty and tradition, Maria let George be a child. No titles, no expectations, just laughing, puzzles, and soothing lullabies behind the nursery door. Even silent bonds alter. How did a woman known for lullabies lead an unexpected royal change? A surprising turn occurs here. The day everything changed. Maria's peaceful goodbye. Maria Theresa Turian-Barallo was invited into a small Kensington Palace room on a crisp morning in early 2024. There was no big revelation or tension, simply a subtle but obvious shift she had long anticipated. Prince William and Princess Catherine waited for her with friendly looks and smiles. This was no ordinary talk. This ended nearly a decade of waiting. Maria had been Prince George's reliable companion for nearly 10 years. But now, change was unavoidable. According to palace insiders, William and Catherine spoke warmly and gratefully. Catherine's steady, emotive voice remarked, "We couldn't have asked for more." William also expressed gratitude for Maria's calm years. But then Maria heard the sentence she expected and feared. William kindly explained that he no longer needs a nanny. As usual, Maria nodded calmly. She anticipated this day. Hearing it loudly still tightened her heart. As the royal family progressed, George needed new teachers and tutors. Her nearly decade-long vital function had come to an end. Maria walked upstairs to the nursery one last time after the meeting. Prince George was seated near the window with colored pencils on the floor. Standing up, he set aside his painting as he spotted her. "Mom told me," he whispered, uncertain but solid. "I don't want changes." Maria grinned, kneeling alongside him as usual. She gently put her hand on his shoulder and murmured, "It's time to grow up." No tears. Neither did she. But both knew this was a memorable event. After the palace was silent, Maria packed her modest chamber in the staff quarters that night. She only wanted to take a few books, a worn-out stuffed animal she purchased George on a vacation to Scotland, and a framed drawing he created for her when he was 5. These recollections were accompanied by her private journal, which recorded situations she never revealed. Maria and George had their farewell breakfast together the next morning as the sun rose over Kensington Palace. They sat in their normal location, distant from royal life. George gave her a little, well-wrapped surprise before she left. A small leather notebook was inside. "Thank you for being my first teacher" was written in his best hand on the first page. Maria grinned, kissed his head softly, and said nothing. Some goodbyes are silent. That afternoon, she left Kensington Palace through the quiet backstaff entrance, nearly 10 years after entering. Press, cameras, and statements were absent. Just gratitude and stillness. What becomes of a woman who spent a decade developing a future king's heart? That part of Maria's story was coming. Maria's start. Maria Theresa Turian-Barallo left Kensington Palace in 2024 without a press conference, gorgeous magazine cover, or tell-all book contract. She began her new life calmly, gracefully, and without fuss, as she had done for almost a decade. Her new house was a little flat in a quiet West London neighborhood. Her days now began with the delicate clink of a kettle in her modest kitchen and the faint noises of city life outside her window, far from royal life's polished hallways and cavernous chambers. The hectic schedules, early morning nursery routines, and late-night lullabies were gone. She felt stillness for the first time in years. It started off unsettling. Maria woke instinctively at 5:30 a.m. Her body awaited George's little feet shuffle or a royal assistant's knock with the day's plan. There was only silence. For the first time in nearly a decade, Maria permitted stillness. She wrote, "Let the stillness teach you," in neat Spanish lettering in her journal one morning. Not a breakdown. It healed. Years had passed at someone else's pace in her heart. She was learning to find herself. Palace messages were occasionally brief. They were professional, polite updates on George's progress with his new teachers or tiny gestures that spoke louder than words. An ordinary brown parcel arrived at her door. A lost blue cardigan with George's handwritten dog drawing inside. No note or explanation. Maria smiled and held the drawing to her chest. "Thank you," she muttered, not with grief but with thankfulness for what had been. Maria avoided attention. Interviews, anonymous tabloid leaks, and sly book deals were absent. Not out of fear, she remained silent. From love, Georgia didn't discuss her childhood. She guarded the memory. She had part of her heart. No, she didn't separate herself. She met old classmates from Norland College, had tea with retired nannies, and listened more than she spoke. Her answer to whether she missed George was clear, real, and consistent. Of course. 3 months later, she received an unexpected call. The palace again. George wanted Maria for a week before his first major public tour, a milestone. She was alone, no media coverage. The only way she knew to return was by the same back gate she had used for years. George was taller and had a more mature face, but his eyes still sparkled. Like before, they reviewed his routine. George gave her a folded paper before she left. She opened it on the train home. Marta is written at the bottom of another dog artwork. A silent gift without explanation. Many thought Maria's story ended there, but it didn't. In the months that followed, she built a customized program called Quiet Hands, named after the term she used when George was overwhelmed. She would whisper, "Quiet hands, George," urging him to keep cool and in charge. The same phrase now provides workshops, emotional support, and a community for retired and transitioning nannies. Maria never mentioned her regal days. She needn't. Her listening and comforting made things apparent. She experienced something wonderful and heartbreaking. How did Maria's gentle parting affect Prince George and the palace? Keep watching. Life after Maria's goodbye. After Maria Theresa Turian Baralo quietly left Kensington Palace in early 2024, Cambridge family life continued. The well-oiled royal machine proceeded as planned. New teachers were carefully selected to shape Prince George's future kingship. He used speech coaches, etiquette gurus, and educational consultants for specialized tasks, training the young prince for public life and obligations. George's routine changed drastically by summer 2024. More formal outings, speeches, and picture ops were planned. He stood taller, smiled when needed, and spoke what was anticipated at public gatherings. From the outside, he seemed like the perfect young royal, refined and poised. Rumors spread behind Kensington Palace's magnificent gates. Palace aides, who had seen George develop from a shy toddler to this new self, detected something unusual. He seemed to lose his cheeky glow, spontaneous laughter, and childish curiosity. He became quieter and more serious, not unkind or unpleasant. One long-standing employee observed, the nursery's warmth vanished the moment she left. Not to attack the new team. They were trying, but Maria had set a standard that was never part of their job description. She was more than a caregiver. She anchored George's early life with a kind voice. The one who made him feel protected when everything was overwhelming. George never complained, but the signs were apparent for those who looked. He often carried a little leather notebook Maria gave him on her last day. Small notes, scribbles, and stories she wrote for him throughout the years were within. Instead of talking about it, he held it. Appeared to comfort him. A discreet, secret bond to the woman who softly taught him love and trust. William and Catherine never apologized. They made a serious, loving decision because they believed George was ready for the next stage of his life. But palace insiders often wondered if the emotional cost was larger than imagined. When someone becomes part of a child's heart, their absence resonates. Maria went beyond her duties. She left a modest, lasting mark on the future monarch. How did a calm nanny shock the royal with her emotional impact? Stay tuned to discover Maria Turian Baralo's impact. No crown could erase. Maria Theresa Turian Baralo never sought a crown. Titles and adulation didn't define her legacy. It was inscribed in nighttime lullabies, small first steps across a palace nursery floor, and whispered Spanish phrases only she and Prince George knew. The world regarded George as a future king, but Maria saw something else first. A little guy learning to love, ask questions, and feel. Behind Kensington Palace's glittering walls, Maria's influence was deep yet often overlooked. She remained after she packed her bags and went through the palace's silent staff door in early 2024. George's teachers noticed minor details that weren't in any royal training manual. A teacher stated, "He's kind for his age. He notices upset people." That wasn't textbook-based. Maria scented. She knelt by him after hard days and inquired, "Are you sad or tired?" For years, she helped him name emotions many kids his age battled with. She showed him that love didn't always need to shout and that strength didn't mean silence. It may sit alongside you and speak softly. After Maria left, George asked her old questions at home months later. Why do we get waves? Wondering aloud. Do all youngsters attend school? Who decides leadership? But now various voices answer those queries. Maria's voice had quieted and become a discourse George had with himself. She taught and grew him even when she wasn't there. Maria never intended her legacy for public display. That was its genius. Her background work was particularly effective. She was more than George's nanny. Her voice would stay with him long after the world stopped mentioning her. Maria got one more handwritten note 6 months after leaving the castle. Prince William and Princess Catherine. A nice, genuine, and grateful message. It was placed next to George's childhood painting of a little, crumpled dog in a drawer she rarely opened after reading it and smiling quietly. No tears or turmoil, just a big, solitary exhale. Maria continued calmly as usual. Her goal was to help other nannies navigate the emotional challenges of raising children who belonged to families in history books. Her relationship with George was never touted. She never even mentioned the palace. But her years behind royal doors informed every suggestion until she provided with a new generation of caretakers. One new nanny asked Maria how to say goodbye to a child she loved. Maria replied simply and genuinely. Giving up doesn't imply forgetting. You must believe your love matters even when you're gone. And George? The world witnessed a kid quickly assume his royal position when he participated at more public occasions in late 2024 and early 2025. But some who understood what to look for saw silent clues. That Maria's effect persisted. The subtle, considerate gestures, the way he listened before speaking, and the leather notebook she gave him, still seen under his arm at school gatherings. George even gave a guest at an event a dog drawing, a beautiful reminder of the sketches he gave Maria. Maria said goodbye quietly. The goodbye remains, showing up when you least expect it in how a child views the world, soothes a buddy, and confronts royal expectation with remarkable emotional grace. Her impact wasn't in the media. Small, lasting imprints on a growing boy's heart. What do you think? Should the royals have kept Maria close? Or did they misjudge her influence on George? Please share your ideas below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.